Hadīth 137. Narrated Khalid bin Ma'dan, that Umayr bin al-Aswad al-Unsi told him that he went to Ubadah bin as-Samit while he was staying in his house at the seashore of Hims with his wife, Haram. Umayr said, Haram informed us that she heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, Paradise is granted to the first batch of my followers who will undertake a naval expedition. Haram added, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Will I be amongst them? He replied, You are amongst them. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, The first army amongst my followers who will invade Caesar's city will be forgiven their sins. I asked, Will I be one of them, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him? He replied in the negative. Hadīth 138. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, You, that is, Muslims, will fight with the Jews until some of them will hide behind stones. The stones will betray them, saying, O Abdullāh, that is, slave of Allah. There is a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him. Hadīth 139. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, O Muslim. There is a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him. Hadīth 140. Narrated Amr bin Tughlib, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, One of the portents of the hour is that you will fight with people wearing shoes made of hair, and one of the portents of the hour is that you will fight with broad-faced people whose faces will look like shields coated with leather. Hadīth 141. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The hour will not be established until you fight with the Turks, people with small eyes, red faces, and flat noses. Their faces will look like shields coated with leather. The hour will not be established till you fight with people whose shoes are made of hair. Hadīth 142. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The hour will not be established till you fight with people wearing shoes made of hair. And the hour will not be established till you fight with people whose faces look like shields coated with leather. Abu Hurairah added, They will be small-eyed, flat-nosed, and their faces will look like shields coated with leather. Hadīth 143. Narrated Abu Ishaq, a man asked Al-Barā, O Abu Umara, Did you all flee on the day of the battle of Hunayn? He replied, No, by Allah. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did not flee, but his young unarmed companions passed by the archers of the tribe of Hawazin and Bani Nasr, whose arrows hardly missed a target, and they threw arrows at them hardly missing a shot. So, the Muslims retreated towards the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, while he was riding his white mule which was being led by his cousin Abu Sufyan bin al-Harith bin Abdul Muttalib. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, dismounted and invoked Allah for victory, then he said, I am the Prophet, without a lie, I am the son of Abdul Muttalib, and then he arranged his companions in rows. Hadīth 144. Narrated Ali, when it was the day of the battle of Al-Ahzab, that is, the clans, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Allah, fill their, that is, the infidels, houses and graves with fire, as they busied us so much that we did not perform the prayer, that is, Asr, till the sun set. Hadīth 145. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to recite the following invocations during Qunut, O Allah. Save Salamah bin Hisham. O Allah. Save Al-Walid bin Al-Walid. O Allah. Save Ayyash bin Rabi'ah. O Allah. Save the weak Muslims. O Allah. Be very hard on Mudar tribe. O Allah. Afflict them with years of famine, similar to the famine years of the time of Prophet Joseph. Hadith 146. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abi Awfa, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, invoked evil upon the pagans on the day of the battle of Al-Ahzab, saying, O Allah, the revealer of the Holy Book, the swift taker of accounts, O Allah, defeat Al-Ahzab, that is, the clans, O Allah, defeat them and shake them. Hadith 147. Narrated Abdullāh, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was offering the prayer in the shade of the Kaaba. Abu Jahl and some Qurayshi men sent somebody to bring the abdominal contents of a she-camel which had been slaughtered somewhere in Mecca, and when he brought them, they put them over the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Then Fatima, that is, the Prophet's daughter, came and threw them away from him, and he said, O Allah, destroy the pagans of Quraysh. O Allah, destroy Quraysh. O Allah, destroy Quraysh, naming especially Abu Jahl bin Hisham, Utbah bin Rabi'ah, Shaybah bin Rabi'ah, Al-Walid bin Utbah, Ubay bin Khalaf and Uqbah bin Abi Mu'ayt. The narrator Abdullāh added, I saw them all killed and thrown in the butter well. Hadith 148. Narrated Aisha, once the Jews came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, Death be upon you. So I cursed them. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, What is the matter? I said, Have you not heard what they said? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Have you not heard what I replied to them? I said, The same is upon you. Hadith 149. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, wrote a letter to Caesar saying, If you reject Islam, you will be responsible for the sins of the tillers, that is, your people. Hadith 150. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Tufail bin Amr ad-Dawsi and his companions came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The people of the tribe of Daws disobeyed and refused to follow you, so invoke Allah against them. The people said, The tribe of Daws is ruined. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Allah, give guidance to the people of Daws, and let them embrace Islam. Hadith 151. Narrated Anas, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, intended to write a letter to the ruler of the Byzantines, he was told that those people did not read any letter unless it was stamped with a seal. So, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got a silver ring, as if I were just looking at its white glitter on his hand, and stamped on it the expression Muhammad, Apostle of Allah. Hadith 152. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent his letter to Khusro and ordered his messenger to hand it over to the governor of Bahrain, who was to hand it over to Khusro. So, when Khusro read the letter he tore it. Sa'id bin al-Musayyab said, The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then invoked Allah to disperse them with full dispersion, destroy them, that is, Khusro and his followers, severely. Hadith 153. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, wrote to Caesar and invited him to Islam and sent him his letter with Dihya al-Kalbi, whom Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered to hand it over to the governor of Basra who would forward it to Caesar. Caesar, as a sign of gratitude to Allah, had walked from Hims to Ilya, that is, Jerusalem, when Allah had granted him victory over the Persian forces. So, when the letter of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, reached Caesar, he said after reading it, Seek for me any one of his people, Arabs of Quraysh tribe, if present here, in order to ask him about Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. At that time, Abu Sufyan bin Harb was in Sham with some men from Quraysh who had come to Sham as merchants during the truce that had been concluded between Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and the infidels of Quraysh. Abu Sufyan said, Caesar's messenger found us somewhere in Sham, so he took me and my companions to Ilya, and we were admitted into Caesar's court to find him sitting in his royal court wearing a crown and surrounded by the senior dignitaries of the Byzantine. He said to his translator, Ask them who amongst them is a close relation to the man who claims to be a prophet. Abu Sufyan added, I replied, I am the nearest relative to him. He asked, What degree of relationship do you have with him? I replied, He is my cousin, and there was none of Bani Abd Manaf in the caravan except myself. Caesar said, Let him come nearer. He then ordered that my companions stand behind me near my shoulder and said to his translator, Tell his companions that I am going to ask this man about the man who claims to be a prophet. If he tells a lie, they should contradict him immediately. Abu Sufyan added, By Allah! Had it not been shameful that my companions label me a liar, I would not have spoken the truth about him when he asked me. But I considered it shameful to be called a liar by my companions, so I told the truth. He then said to his translator, Ask him what kind of family does he belong to. I replied, He belongs to a noble family amongst us. He said, Has anybody else amongst you ever claimed the same before him? I replied, No. He said, Had you ever blamed him for telling lies before he claimed what he claimed? I replied, No. He said, Was anybody amongst his ancestors a king? I replied, No. He said, Do the noble or the poor follow him? I replied, It is the poor who follow him. He said, Are they increasing or decreasing, day by day? I replied, They are increasing. He said, Does anybody amongst those who embrace his, the Prophet's, religion become displeased and then discard his religion? I replied, No. He said, Does he break his promises? I replied, No, but we are now at truce with him and we are afraid that he may betray us. Abu Sufyan added, Other than the last sentence, I could not say anything against him. Caesar then asked, Have you ever had a war with him? I replied, Yes. He said, What was the outcome of your battles with him? I replied, The result was unstable, sometimes he was victorious and sometimes we. He said, What does he order you to do? I said, He tells us to worship Allah alone, and not to worship others along with him, and to leave all that our forefathers used to worship. He orders us to pray, give in charity, be chaste, keep promises and return what is entrusted to us. When I had said that, Caesar said to his translator, Say to him, I asked you about his lineage and your reply was that he belonged to a noble family. In fact, all the apostles came from the noblest lineage of their nations. Then I questioned you whether anybody else amongst you had claimed such a thing, and your reply was in the negative. If the answer had been in the affirmative, I would have thought that this man was following a claim that had been said before him. When I asked you whether he was ever blamed for telling lies, your reply was in the negative, so I took it for granted that a person who did not tell a lie about the people could never tell a lie about Allah. Then I asked you whether any of his ancestors was a king. Your reply was in the negative, and if it had been in the affirmative, I would have thought that this man wanted to take back his ancestral kingdom. When I asked you whether the rich or the poor people followed him, you replied that it was the poor who followed him. In fact, such are the followers of the apostles. Then I asked you whether his followers were increasing or decreasing. You replied that they were increasing. In fact, this is the result of true faith till it is complete, in all respects. I asked you whether there was anybody who, after embracing his religion, became displeased and discarded his religion, your reply was in the negative. In fact, this is the sign of true faith, for when its cheerfulness enters and mixes in the hearts completely, nobody will be displeased with it. I asked you whether he had ever broken his promise. You replied in the negative. And such are the apostles, they never break their promises. When I asked you whether you fought with him and he fought with you, you replied that he did, and that sometimes he was victorious and sometimes you. Indeed, such are the apostles, they are put to trials and the final victory is always theirs. Then I asked you what he ordered you. You replied that he ordered you to worship Allah alone and not to worship others along with him, to leave all that your forefathers used to worship, to offer prayers, to speak the truth, to be chaste, to keep promises, and to return what is entrusted to you. These are really the qualities of a prophet who, I knew, from the previous scriptures, would appear, but I did not know that he would be from amongst you. If what you say should be true, he will very soon occupy the earth under my feet, and if I knew that I would reach him definitely, I would go immediately to meet him, and were I with him, then I would certainly wash his feet. Abu Sufyan added, Caesar then asked for the letter of Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and it was read. Its contents were, in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, this letter is, from Muhammad, the slave of Allah, and his apostle, to Heraclius, the ruler of the Byzantine. Peace be upon the followers of guidance. Now then, I invite you to Islam, that is, surrender to Allah, embrace Islam and you will be safe, embrace Islam and Allah will bestow on you a double reward. But if you reject this invitation of Islam, you shall be responsible for misguiding the tillers, that is, your nation. O people of the Scriptures! Come to a word common to us and you, that we worship none but Allah, and that we associate nothing in worship with him, and that none of us shall take others as lords besides Allah. Then if they turn away, say, bear witness that we are they who have surrendered unto him. Surah 3, Ayah 64. Abu Sufyan added, when Heraclius had finished his speech, there was a great hue and cry caused by the Byzantine royalties surrounding him, and there was so much noise that I did not understand what they said. So, we were turned out of the court. When I went out with my companions and we were alone, I said to them, verily, Ibn Abi Qabshah's, that is, the Prophet's, affair has gained power. This is the king of Bani al-Asfar fearing him. Abu Sufyan added, by Allah, I remained low and was sure that his religion would be victorious till Allah converted me to Islam, though I disliked it. Hadīth 154. Narrated Sahal bin Sa'd, that he heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on the day of the battle of Khaybar saying, I will give the flag to a person at whose hands Allah will grant victory. So, the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got up, wishing eagerly to see to whom the flag will be given, and every one of them wished to be given the flag. But the Prophet asked for Ali. Someone informed him that he was suffering from eye trouble. So, he ordered them to bring Ali in front of him. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, spat in his eyes and his eyes were cured immediately as if he had never any eye trouble. Ali said, we will fight with them, that is, infidels, till they become like us, that is, Muslims. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, be patient till you face them and invite them to Islam and inform them of what Allah has enjoined upon them. By Allah! If a single person embraces Islam at your hands, that is, through you, that will be better for you than the red camels. Hadīth 155. Narrated on us, whenever Allah's messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, attacked some people, he would never attack them till it was dawn. If he heard the adhan, that is, call for prayer, he would delay the fight, and if he did not hear the adhan, he would attack them immediately after dawn. We reached Khaybar at night. Hadīth 156. Narrated on us, as above. Hadīth 157. Narrated on us, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, set out for Khaybar and reached it at night. He used not to attack if he reached the people at night, till the day broke. So, when the day dawned, the Jews came out with their bags and spades. When they saw the Prophet, they said, Muhammad and his army. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater, and Khaybar is ruined, for whenever we approach a nation, that is, enemy to fight, then it will be a miserable morning for those who have been warned. Hadith 158. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Apostle said, I have been ordered to fight with the people till they say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and whoever says, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, his life and property will be saved by me except for Islamic law, and his accounts will be with Allah, either to punish him or to forgive him. Hadith 159. Narrated Ka'b bin Malik, whenever Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, intended to lead a Ghazwa, he would use an equivocation from which one would understand that he was going to a different destination. Hadith 160. Narrated Ka'b bin Malik, whenever Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, intended to carry out a Ghazwa, he would use an equivocation to conceal his real destination till it was the Ghazwa of Tabuk which Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, carried out in very hot weather. As he was going to face a very long journey through a wasteland and was to meet and attack a large number of enemies, so he made the situation clear to the Muslims so that they might prepare themselves accordingly and get ready to conquer their enemy. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, informed them of the destination he was heading for. Hadith 161. Ka'b bin Malik used to say, scarcely did Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, set out for a journey on a day other than Thursday. Hadith 162. Narrated Ka'b bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, set out on Thursday for the Ghazwa of Tabuk, and he used to prefer to set out, that is, travel, on Thursdays. Hadith 163. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offered a 4-rakat Zuhr prayer at Medina and then offered a 2-rakat Asr prayer at Dhul Hulayfa, and I heard the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reciting Talbiyah aloud, for Hajj and Umrah, altogether. Hadith 164. Narrated Aisha, we set out in the company of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, 5 days before the end of Dhul Qa'dah, intending to perform Hajj only. When we approached Makkah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered those who did not have the hadi, that is, an animal for sacrifice, with them to perform the tawaf around the Kaaba and between Safa and Marwa, and then finish their ihram. Beef was brought to us on the day of Nahr, that is, the days of slaughtering, and I asked, what is this? Somebody said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, has slaughtered a cow on behalf of his wives. Hadith 165. Narrated Ibn Abbas, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, set out in the month of Ramadan. He observed fasting till he reached a place called Qadid where he broke his fast. Hadith 166. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent us on a military expedition telling us, if you find such and such persons, he named 2 men from Quraysh, burn them with fire. Then we came to bid him farewell. When we wanted to set out, he said, previously I ordered you to burn so and so and so and so with fire, but as punishment with fire is done by none except Allah, if you capture them, kill them, instead. Hadith 167. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet said, it is obligatory for one to listen to and obey the ruler's orders, unless these orders involve one of disobedience to Allah, but if an act of disobedience to Allah is imposed, he should not listen to or obey it. Hadith 168. Narrated Abu Hurairah, that I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, we are the last but will be the foremost to enter paradise. The Prophet added, he who obeys me, obeys Allah, and he who disobeys me, disobeys Allah. He who obeys the chief, obeys me, and he who disobeys the chief, disobeys me. The Imam is like a shelter for whose safety the Muslims should fight and where they should seek protection. If the Imam orders people with righteousness and rules justly, then he will be rewarded for that, and if he does the opposite, he will be responsible for that. Hadith 169. Narrated Ibn Umar, when we reached Hudaybiyah, in the next year, of the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, not even two men amongst us agreed unanimously as to which was the tree under which we had given the pledge of allegiance, and that was out of Allah's mercy. The sub-narrator asked Nafi, for what did the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, take their pledge of allegiance, was it for death? Nafi replied, no, but he took their pledge of allegiance for patience. Hadith 170. Narrated Abdullāh bin Zayd, that in the time of the battle of Al-Harra, a person came to him and said, Ibn Hanzalah is taking the pledge of allegiance from the people for death. He said, I will never give a pledge of allegiance for such a thing to anyone after Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Hadith 171. Narrated Yazid bin Ubayd, Salama said, I gave the pledge of allegiance, Ridwan, to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and then I moved to the shade of a tree. When the number of people around the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, diminished, he said, O Ibn al-Aqwa, will you not give to me the pledge of allegiance? I replied, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, I have already given to you the pledge of allegiance. He said, do it again. So I gave the pledge of allegiance for the second time. I asked, O Abu Muslim, for what did you give the pledge of allegiance on that day? He replied, we gave the pledge of allegiance for death. Hadith 172. Narrated Anas, on the day of the battle of the trench, the Ansar were saying, we are those who have sworn allegiance to Muhammad for jihad, forever, as long as we live. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, replied to them, O Allah, there is no life except the life of the hereafter. So honor the Ansar and emigrants with your generosity. Hadith 173. Narrated Mujashi, my brother and I came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and I requested him to take the pledge of allegiance from us for migration. He said, migration has passed away with its people. I asked, for what will you take the pledge of allegiance from us then? He said, I will take the pledge for Islam and Jihad. Hadith 174. Narrated Abdullāh, today a man came to me and asked me a question which I did not know how to answer. He said, tell me, if a wealthy active man, well equipped with arms, goes out on military expeditions with our chiefs, and orders us to do such things as we cannot do, should we obey him? I replied, by Allah, I do not know what to reply to you, except that we were in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and he used to order us to do a thing once only till we finished it. And no doubt, everyone among you will remain in a good state as long as he obeys Allah. If one is in doubt as to the legality of something, he should ask somebody who would satisfy him, but soon will come a time when you will not find such a man. By him except whom none has the right to be worshipped, I see that the example of what has passed of this life, to what remains thereof, is like a pond whose fresh water has been used up and nothing remains but muddy water. Hadith 175. Narrated Salim Abu Nutter, the freed slave of Umar bin Ubaydullah who was Umar's clerk, Abdullāh bin Abi Awfa wrote him, that is, Umar, a letter that contained the following, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, during a holy battle, waited till the sun had declined and then he got up among the people and said, O people, do not wish to face the enemy, in a battle, and ask Allah to save you from calamities, but if you should face the enemy, then be patient and let it be known to you that paradise is under the shades of swords. He then said, O Allah, the revealer of the Holy Book, the mover of the clouds, and defeater of Al-Ahzab, that is, the clans of infidels, defeat the infidels and bestow victory upon us. Hadith 176. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, I participated in a Ghazwa along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, met me, on the way, while I was riding a camel of ours used for irrigation, and it had got so tired that it could hardly walk. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked me, "What is wrong with the camel?" I replied, "It has got tired." So, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came from behind it and rebuked it and prayed for it, so it started surpassing the other camels and going ahead of them. Then he asked me, "How do you find your camel, now?" I replied, "I find it quite well now, as it has received your blessings." He said, "Will you sell it to me?" I felt shy to refuse his offer, though it was the only camel for irrigation we had. So I said, "Yes." He said, "Sell it to me then." I sold it to him on the condition that I should keep on riding it till I reached Medina. Then I said, "O Allah's Apostle, I am a bridegroom," and requested him to allow me to go home. He allowed me, and I set out for Medina before the people till I reached Medina, where I met my uncle, who asked me about the camel, and I informed him all about it, and he blamed me for that. When I took the permission of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, he asked me whether I had married a virgin or a matron, and I replied that I had married a matron. He said, "Why hadn't you married a virgin who would have played with you, and you would have played with her?" I replied, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, my father died, or was martyred, and I have some young sisters, so I felt it not proper that I should marry a young girl like them who would neither teach them manners nor serve them. So, I have married a matron so that she may serve them and teach them manners." When Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived in Medina, I took the camel to him the next morning, and he gave me its price and gave me the camel itself as well. Hadīth 177. Narrated Anas bin Malik, once there was a feeling of fright at Medina, so Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, rode a horse belonging to Abu Talha, and, on his return, he said, "We have not seen anything fearful, but we found this horse very fast." Hadīth 178. Narrated Anas bin Malik, once the people got frightened, so Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, rode a slow horse belonging to Abu Talha, and he set out all alone, making the horse gallop. Then the people rode, making their horses gallop after him. On his return, he said, "Don't be afraid, there is nothing to be afraid of, and I have found this horse a very fast one. That horse was never excelled in running henceforward." Hadīth 179. Narrated Umar bin al-Khattab, I gave a horse to be used in Allah's cause, but later on I saw it being sold. I asked the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, whether I could buy it. He said, "Don't buy it, and don't take back your gift of charity." Hadīth 180. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Umar gave a horse to be used in Allah's cause, but later on he found it being sold. So, he intended to buy it and asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who said, "Don't buy it, and don't take back your gift of charity." Hadīth 181. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Were it not for the fear that it would be difficult for my followers, I would not have remained behind any Sariyah, army unit, but I don't have riding camels and have no other means of conveyance to carry them on, and it is hard for me that my companions should remain behind me. No doubt, I wish I could fight in Allah's cause and be martyred, and come to life again to be martyred, and come to life once more." Hadīth 182. Narrated Ya Allah, I participated in the Ghazwa of Tabuk along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and I gave a young camel to be ridden in Jihad, and that was, to me, one of my best deeds. Then I employed a laborer who quarreled with another person. One of them bit the hand of the other, and the latter drew his hand from the mouth of the former, pulling out his front tooth. Then the former instituted a suit against the latter before the Prophet, who rejected that suit, saying, "Do you expect him to put out his hand for you to snap as a male camel snaps vegetation?" Hadīth 183. Narrated Tha'labah bin Abi Malik al-Qurazi, when Qais bin Sa'd al-Ansari, who used to carry the flag of the Prophet, intended to perform Hajj, he combed his hair. Hadith 184. Narrated Salamah bin al-Aqwa, Ali remained behind the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, during the battle of Khaybar as he was suffering from some eye trouble, but then he said, "How should I stay behind Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him?" So, he set out till he joined the Prophet. On the eve of the day of the conquest of Khaybar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "No doubt, I will give the flag or, tomorrow, a man whom Allah and His Apostle love or who loves Allah and His Apostle will take the flag. Allah will bestow victory upon him." Suddenly Ali joined us though we were not expecting him. The people said, "Here is Ali." So, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, gave the flag to him and Allah bestowed victory upon him. Hadith 185. Narrated Nafi bin Jubayr, I heard Al-Abbas telling Az-Zubayr, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered you to fix the flag here. Hadith 186. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I have been sent with the shortest expressions bearing the widest meanings, and I have been made victorious with awe, cast in the hearts of the enemy, and while I was sleeping, the keys of the treasures of the world were brought to me and put in my hand. Abu Hurairah added, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, has left the world and now you, people, are bringing out those treasures, that is, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not benefit by them. Hadith 187. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Abu Sufyan said, Heraclius sent for me when I was in Ilya, that is, Jerusalem. Then he asked for the letter of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and when he had finished its reading there was a great hue and cry around him and the voices grew louder and we were asked to quit the place. When we were turned out, I said to my companions, the cause of Ibn Abi Kabsha has become conspicuous as the king of Bani al-Asfar is afraid of him. Hadith 188. Narrated Ismā, I prepared the journey food for Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in Abu Bakr's house when he intended to emigrate to Medina. I could not find anything to tie the food container and the water skin with. So, I said to Abu Bakr, by Allah, I do not find anything to tie these things with except my waist belt. He said, cut it into 2 pieces and tie the water skin with one piece and the food container with the other. The sub-narrator added, she did accordingly and that was the reason for calling her Datun Natakain, that is, 2-belted woman. Hadith 189. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, during the lifetime of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, we used to take the meat of sacrificed animals, as journey food, to Medina. Hadith 190. Narrated Suwayd bin Nu'man, that he went out in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, during the year of Khaybar campaign, till they reached a place called As-Sahba, the lower part of Khaybar. They offered the Asr prayer there, and the Prophet asked for the food. Nothing but sawiq was brought to the Prophet. So, they chewed it and ate it and drank water. After that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got up, washed his mouth, and they too washed their mouths and then offered the prayer. Hadith 191. Narrated Salamah, once the journey food of the people ran short and they were in great need. So, they came to the Prophet to take his permission for slaughtering their camels, and he permitted them. Then Umar met them and they informed him about it. He said, what will sustain you after your camels are finished? Then Umar went to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What will sustain them after their camels are finished? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, make an announcement amongst the people that they should bring all their remaining food to me. They brought it and, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, invoked Allah and asked for his blessings for it. Then he asked them to bring their food utensils, and the people started filling their food utensils with their hands till they were satisfied. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, I testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and I am his apostle. Hadith 192. Narrated Wahab bin Kaysan, Jabir bin Abdullāh said, we set out, and we were 300 men carrying our journey food on our shoulders. Then we began to eat a single date each per day. A man asked Jabir, O Abu Abdullah, how could a person be satisfied with a single date? Jabir replied, we realized the value of that one date when we could not even have that much, till we reached the seashore, when all of a sudden we saw a huge fish cast by the sea. So, we ate of it as much as we wished for 18 days. Hadith 193. Narrated Aisha, that she said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Your companions are returning with the reward of both Hajj and Umrah, while I am returning with the reward of Hajj only. He said to her, Go, and let Abdur-Rahman, that is, your brother, make you sit behind him, on the animal. So, he ordered Abdur-Rahman to let her perform Umrah from At-Tanim. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, waited for her at the higher region of Makkah till she returned. Hadith 194. Narrated Abdur-Rahman bin Abi Bakr as-Siddiq, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered me to let Aisha sit behind me, on the animal, and to let her perform Umrah from At-Tanim. Hadith 195. Narrated Anas, I was riding behind Abu Talha, on the same, riding animal, and the Prophet's companions were reciting Talbiyah aloud for both Hajj and Umrah. Hadith 196. Narrated Urwa from Usama bin Zayd, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, rode a donkey on which there was a saddle covered by a velvet sheet and let Usama ride behind him, on the donkey. Hadith 197. Narrated Nafi from Abdullāh, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came to Makkah through its higher region on the day of the conquest of Makkah, riding his she-camel on which Usama was riding behind him. Bilal and Uthman bin Talha, one of the servants of the Kaaba, were also accompanying him till he made his camel kneel in the mosque and ordered the latter to bring the key of the Kaaba. He opened the door of the Kaaba, and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, entered in the company of Usama, Bilal and Uthman, and stayed in it for a long period. When he came out, the people rushed to it, and Abdullāh bin Umar was the first to enter it and found Bilal standing behind the door. He asked Bilal, where did the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offer his prayer? He pointed to the place where he had offered his prayer. Abdullāh said, I forgot to ask him how many rakat he had performed. Hadith 198. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, there is a compulsory sadaqah, charity, to be given for every joint of the human body, as a sign of gratitude to Allah, every day the sun rises. To judge justly between two persons is regarded as sadaqah, and to help a man concerning his riding animal by helping him to ride it or by lifting his luggage onto it is also regarded as sadaqah, and, saying, a good word is also sadaqah, and every step taken on one's way to offer the compulsory prayer, in the mosque, is also sadaqah, and to remove a harmful thing from the way is also sadaqah. Hadith 199. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade the people to travel to a hostile country carrying copies of the Qur'an. Hadith 200. Narrated Anas, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, reached Khaybar in the morning, while the people were coming out carrying their spades over their shoulders. When they saw him, they said, this is Muhammad and his army. Muhammad and his army. So, they took refuge in the fort. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, raised both his hands and said, Allahu Akbar, Khaybar is ruined, for when we approach a nation, that is, enemy to fight, then miserable is the mourning of the warned ones. Then we found some donkeys which we killed and cooked. The announcer of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, announced, Allah and his apostle forbid you to eat donkey's meat. So, all the pots including their contents were turned upside down. Hadith 201. Narrated Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, we were in the company of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, during Hajj. Whenever we went up a high place, we used to say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and Allah is greater, and our voices used to rise, so the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O people! Be merciful to yourselves, that is, don't raise your voice, for you are not calling a deaf or an absent one, but one who is with you, no doubt he is all-hearer, ever near, to all things. Hadith 202. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, whenever we went up a place we would say, Allahu Akbar, that is, Allah is greater, and whenever we went down a place we would say, Subhan Allah. Hadith 203. Narrated Jabir, whenever we went up a place we would say Takbir, and whenever we went down we would say, Subhan Allah. Hadith 204. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, whenever the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, returned from the Hajj or the Umrah or a Ghazwa, he would say Takbir thrice. Whenever he came upon a mountain path or wasteland, then he would say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah alone, who has no partner. All the kingdom belongs to him and all the praises are for him and he is omnipotent. We are returning with repentance, worshipping, prostrating ourselves and praising our Lord. Allah fulfilled his promise, granted victory to his slave and he alone defeated all the clans. Hadith 205. Narrated Ibrahim Abu Ismail as-Saksaki, I heard Abu Burda who accompanied Yazid bin Abi Kabsha on a journey. Yazid used to observe fasting on journeys. Abu Burda said to him, I heard Abu Musa several times saying that Allah's apostle said, when a slave falls ill or travels, then he will get reward similar to that he gets for good deeds practiced at home when in good health. Hadith 206. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, on the day of the Battle of the Trench, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, wanted somebody from amongst the people to volunteer to be a reconnoiter. Az-Zubayr volunteered. He demanded the same again and Az-Zubayr volunteered again. Then he repeated the same demand, thrice, and Az-Zubayr volunteered once more. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, every prophet has a disciple and my disciple is Az-Zubayr. Hadith 207. Narrated Ibn Umar, from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, the following hadith. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if the people knew what I know about traveling alone, then nobody would travel alone at night. Hadith 208. Narrated Hisham's father, Usama bin Zayd was asked at what pace the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, rode during Hajjat al-Wada. He said, he rode at a medium pace, but when he came upon an open way he would go at full pace. Hadith 209. Narrated Aslam, while I was in the company of Abdullāh bin Umar on the way to Makkah, he received the news of the severe illness of Safiyyah bint Abi Ubayd, that is, his wife, so he proceeded at greater speed, and when the twilight disappeared, he dismounted and offered the Maghrib and Isha prayers together and said, I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, delaying the Maghrib prayer to offer it along with the Isha when he was in a hurry on a journey. Hadith 210. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, journey is a piece of torture, for it disturbs one's sleep, eating and drinking. So, when you fulfill your job, you should hurry up to your family.